Pow Wow, yo, yippee, yay, guys. This is Pow Wow number 10. Super excited to be with you. So, as always, we'll have some fun. We'll discover as well a bit about what's happening with Bitcoin. We're going to talk about stock overflow ratios and different ways how we could obviously do a better job at forecasting Bitcoin and talk about a little bit about SwissBorg like always. So, let's probably dig into the main business like always by this beautiful picture that we love so much. It's always great to have all these beautiful pictures. If you're not on this beautiful board, please send it as soon as possible through Telegram and we'll add you to the family. Let's dig in right to the fun part of this presentation, which is always the joke of the week. Which is more a quote than actually only a joke by itself. It's by Twitter, and some said that people spend 100,000 on college but won't invest $1,000 in crypto because it's too risky. And that's a thing that really happens very often, right? It's a lot of people say like, oh no, crypto is too risky, it's too volatile, or I'll get hacked, or and then people like spend so much time, doing things that are sometimes pointless, or even invest a lot of money, like in a brand new car. When you're buying a brand new car or you're investing into education, which is a great thing, by the way, I'm not saying, is that you do actually invest into something that you could not necessarily see the outcome. And some of these assets, like cars, are just you're gonna lose money on it. And I think so. If anyone ever tells you like it's too risky, say whatever you're doing every day is super risky, right? So even today, going outside, right, and going to grocery shopping is super risky with crypto. So please, guys, get into crypto and share the passion to all our lovely friends and family. Another thing that is quite funny recently is that, as you guys know, obviously this magnificent Craig White. He's trying to patent the whole blockchain space, and I don't really get that part of it. I mean, I totally respect the guy. I'm sure he's a very intelligent, smart man, and he knows the technology, and probably one of the earliest guy in the crypto scene. However, why do you want to patent open source technology so much? That's just weird. And I really hope he's not going to, make anything out of this. And recently he was trying to patent Nexo Libra's a blockchain. So, it's a cool way to say that, like Mark, he's gonna maybe one day tell everyone that he's the inventor of Libra and he's Mark Zuckerberg. I thought that was would be quite funny. On that same theme, recently people saying, oh, but Cyrus, are we decentralized? Are we centralized? And, SwissBorg is always combining the best of the two. We're bridging the off-chain and the on-chain world. And, we did great things that were completely decentralized, like the referendums, and the idea is to bring more and more some of that. We've, witnessed a lot of great people such as Aave or MakerDAO doing essentially amazing things on DeFi. We love it. And going forward, obviously we want to have that both. And today, how we're essentially our smart engine is applied in our wealth app. It's all centralized in some way, but we are on another way trying to build a way that we could record every transaction that is done and could be tamper-proof. So in some way, it could be like a private blockchain that we're developing internally, and that's again a great way to say that going forward, whatever all the transaction, the volume is done, we could really audit it. Guys could audit it as well, and it could give you a great way for referral program to really make sure that you guys, people are actually contributing to it. And getting back to Simba, and I forgot the name of that crazy little monkey. He's asking what is this, and this is a circle of centralization Libra, which is some way quite funny because Libra is definitely a great project, and really happy that Facebook had the balls to actually get into the space, trying to get into space, and their blockchain per se is really amazing. Nothing's been done with it so far, but I'm sure many people will be developing cool projects on it. But the $10 million club, that was I think so not really what people were expecting or were expecting from essentially Facebook. Corona still on, guys. The good news and the bad news of Corona. If we look into this, and by the way, again, shout out to this, it's really cool. You could see that, you know, there are some countries behaving very well, some countries are not. Some countries are, I think, so in general in Europe, we're doing quite well. There's a lot of faith, I would say, in Europe in general. We see that the speed of spreading is not exponential. It's not as big as it used to be, which is quite well done, and I think so. It's great. On the other side, there's still, essentially the states that is not doing the best out of it, and we see that exponential curve is still going quite higher, and yeah, and that we'll have more cases. It's bad, and at the same time, when you think about it, is that if we don't find any cure to this anytime soon, and even if everyone's working on it, you know, we rather have actually amount of people that actually gets infected in the first place, right? Like that it spreads on multiple lines, and then people could go to hospitals and eventually lay it out. If no one gets affected at first, well, then essentially it's going to carry on forever, and we're never going to go back to work. So, and we're always going to be remote, and decentralized is going to take over the world, and SwissBorg and crypto nation will be developing at the fastest pace. But if that's not happening right away in 2020, we still need to have actually the epidemic to go to a certain speed. If not, we're gonna be confined forever. So that's the flip side of the coin. So who's gonna be right? We'll know. But for now, happy that you guys are safe, and happy that things are taking good measures. Now let's say the news of the week. We talked about crisis, right? And in China, the word crisis could mean opportunity and crisis at the same time. And we're seeing it. This is definitely, there's been Bitcoin, you could have bought at 4,000. And now you are seeing Binance buying coin market cap at $400 million. And that's, well, obviously because it's one of the biggest traffic is going through that website. In terms of crypto, there's some good data, and I'm sure there's probably engineers or there that are good as well. So I think they're really buying it for the name per se, to be honest, and for the number of visits. A lot of activities happening in the M&A. There's been a great report recently by PwC. It's showing that there's a lot of activity here, and we're gonna just see this growing. I mean, if we could crypto news, if we could just check this out, there's been in Europe, in Asia, but as well. Our friends from Fake News Switzerland, really cool. They're in Singapore as well. We've seen that essentially there's a lot of activity, and there's a lot of deal coins regarding fundraising and the crypto space, and this is just going to grow. It's really going to grow because there's a great opportunities to be done. There's a lot of fintechs that have a great start, but they didn't, unfortunately, were able to have enough cash, so these people are going to bought out, and we're going to see a big consolidation, and that's even happening on chain, right? We saw that with the unethical attack of Tron over Steam blockchain and Steam platform. So this is just going to be growing, I think, so going forward, and we see it that there's fundraising as well. That's good. That's good appetite. This for 2019, but 20 as well. There's been already the first, and I'm pretty confident that things going to go quite well in terms of merger and acquisition for sure. Talking about merger acquisition, Blackmoon. Blackmoon did an ICO similar to us. They were really going hard into the security token world, which was very courageous of them. At very early stage, they did a lot of great things. If you guys haven't never checked these guys out, they did like different index. They had like even. This did an IPO of Huawei, I think so. You could have bought security tokens of them. there was a few different things going on. They didn't have a massive amount of community. They were like 3,000 or so. But they had as well got involved into Gram. And that was not a good move. We never touched Gram. We knew it. To be honest, that thing smelled like shit right in the beginning. Uh, we were getting offered Gram at 28 cents for $10 million. That was, I think so, mid-December or end of December 2017 or something early Jan. And that same SAFT, so that agreement for future token, was selling then after at 50 cents, then 75 cents, then went to $1.30, and then obviously people who bought it at 130 want to sell it back at at 50 cents and lose half of it. And it was a lot of like these family office, high net worth individuals type of deal with people getting into the space for the wrong reason. And even if Telegram has a great company behind it, 2 years later, this is one of the biggest scams I've ever seen, that they still haven't been able to do anything with it. And one of the main reasons that we see that happening is, well, essentially, they wanted to be too big, they wanted to go in the States, and what happened? Well, that's what happened, right? The SEC broke them down, took them down, and they did a lot of investments through the US and through and their SAFT, which should not be a SAFT, by the way, because it should have been a utility token and not a security agreement for future token. They messed around, man, and it just didn't go in the right way. Now SEC has condemned on to not release any of their tokens, even to non-US investors. And maybe this is one of the reasons why Blackmoon was quite much involved, wants to get out. However, I already heard that Blackmoon they have different companies, and they will be, I'm very sure they'll be doing very cool stuff very early, and there'll be spin-offs from these great teams that they have, and I wish them all the best. Another thing is, Bitcoin halving is happening very soon, less than a month from now, and 28 days we're gonna have. Out of last 4 years, we didn't have any halving. It's pretty much every 4 years that happens, and it's going to be a great way to see if the halving is priced or not. Let's explain that a little bit later when we talk about the markets. Financial market. This has been crazy last week. So the Dow Jones did over 10% of performance, and this in 1 week. It never has been seen it's been seen only very few times. Like one was like 50 years ago, when it was like, then 70, 80 years after the crisis of 28. And it's quite weird to see that it's one of the best performance when you see that 16 million people in the US have declared that they got laid off and they're looking for jobs. And that obviously is only the beginning to it. And the main reason is this, obviously. Federal banks, central banks are able to pay off all these debts or these future debts of all the people. We'll see how this goes out, how the stimulus package will work out for different countries. But essentially, they are willing to pay the bill, whatever it takes. And the market loves that, obviously. It doesn't matter if people die. It just matters if people have enough money to consume and get that ball going. Because if not, it'll create wars and crises that are even worse than this pandemic. So, yeah, it's quite oxymoron to see that best performance of the Dow Jones is when 16 jobless Americans have filed for getting kicked out or not finding a job anymore. So that really sucks. Talking about markets, crypto market, we're ranging here, right? It's not super volatile. It's to some extent. We're still playing around in that range of Bitcoin between 6,000 to 7,500. It's going up and down, and it's still looking for signals. Same thing as we said in the beginning. The main thing is that we want positive news that comes from the market, and we play with that. It doesn't seem that anything else is driving it, but halving might play a massive difference. We'll see how that goes. Talk about RSI. So RSI enables you to essentially see the momentum behind it, and it's quite interesting to see here, guys, that and obviously the RSI is something we study very much at SwissBorg. You can see it in the Wealth app. it shows that prior to every halving, it was always euphoria, right? Halving means that essentially the reward block for every miner will divide. In this time, it'll probably by two. And what does that imply? It means that less Bitcoin will be created, therefore less liquidation, because all these miners obviously have to pay for the electricity bills. And so a big amount of their reward is transformed from Bitcoin to US dollars, and then they pay out. So now that we know that this reward will be reduced, there's a highly chance of actually having a less sell pressure, but and therefore have the price increase. However, we witnessed these last halvings in a bullish scenario where the markets were good and things were going quite well. And in this case, well, we don't know essentially if the corona will affect this or not. So we see the RSI right now that is very low. So we could maybe carefully follow this and see that if we have this index that is going maybe from 10 to 20 or 30, then most probably the price of Bitcoin will rise in the next 28 days. Now talking about the chartists and looking about the support and the resistance. As you guys could see on the Wealth app, the big ranges is, if I'm not mistaken, it should be roughly from, wait a sec. So if you go into the Wealth app, you can see that the main support and the resistance here is 6,440 and it's 7,940. So those are really the big ranges that, if one of the two, breaks, then we're rather going for partying or we're going for a little recession for a little while on Bitcoin. And relatively, we've been testing this for a long time, but none of those have been broken. On a more relatively, so the 20-day moving average, here we're looking at roughly, a support at 5,600, and we're looking more at 7,400. If those breaks, then we'll go move to the next one. And relatively, we've been testing this for a few days. And actually for almost a month now, besides the panic during the corona. So this could maybe be a good thing right now, as we are 6,700 or so. We're still not there, but hopefully we'll have some good momentum coming in the market. And please always trade efficiently, smartly. Check out in the Wealth app the best way to look at the Cyber Predictor and as well the daily Bitcoin analysis, that it helps you really to forecast and to price essentially if you have to sell or not, and buy more Bitcoins. Stock to flow model. So this is a very good model that's been applied to gold and different other precious metals. Essentially, we could go directly actually on this website, which is really cool. So it's digitallick.net. There's a lot of different ways how to price Bitcoin, and it's really smartly done, to be honest. I really think that they did a good job, much better than most other people. Well, you see, their estimate right now essentially is that they believe the current model should be forecasting at 8,500. But what is the stock to flow, right? The stock to flow is a number that shows how many years at the current production rate are required to achieve the current stock. The higher the number, the higher the price. That is usually true, but not always. And I think so. It's really interesting to see that we could understand how fundamentally Bitcoin could be priced. So not only on technical analysis, not only on the demand and supply, but as well on the complexity that's required. Meaning that more underlying is scarce, so more commodity is scarce, the more likely the price is to escalate, right? So if tomorrow, for example, we would produce too much gold, well then maybe the price of gold or diamonds, the price of diamonds would not be as expensive as it is. However, if you limit the supply of demand of diamonds, then you're pretty sure to have a constant price, right? Or even if you reduce it, then there's a high price people need to buy essentially diamonds for whatever reason, and the price will rise. And that goes with Bitcoin. what it goes back to the halving is that the same what I said earlier is that you really are able to show that the halving should in generally be favorable to Bitcoin because you will have a less sell pressure onto Bitcoin. And getting back to stock overflow, I think so. It's a very interesting way to see that. Well, by halving, will reduce the supply and it will actually increase the stock flow ratio. So that could be a very good way to see that Bitcoin on the next month or so has highly chances of succeeding. And how is the stock to flow? I mean, how does it calculate it? There's a very clear definition here: is that the stock to flow is the number of that we can get when we divide the total stock of yearly production, so all the mining that is done, and it tells us how many years are required at the current production rate in order to produce what is the current stock. Okay, so for example, it's talking about gold that you could create around 3,000 metric tons per year, and the whole volume estimated is to be 180,000. So you divide the whole reserve that it has right now, 185,000 divided by 3,000 is the stock you could actually produce. So the result stock to flow is 62, right? And that's how things are done. And right now we see that essentially there's 18 million Bitcoin, so that's the total amount of supply. We could produce roughly 650,000, 600,000, 57,000 Bitcoins total. So the stock to flow is roughly 27. After the halving, as the compensation, the reward for blocks will be divided most probably by 2, then we probably will have a stock to flow roughly in the 50. So if the stock to flow is now at 50, there's a very high chances, as we see in these graphs, that that the price of Bitcoin should go from whatever the price is today to hopefully higher than that. Then we've seen that in the past, that we see here in the purple, right, the stock to flow in 10 days has not been a correlation of one to one to the price, but it actually still had a very quite strong correlation as we see here. So if you want to check more about this, please check digital LIK. I think so. It's a really good source for ways to understand how fundamentally you could actually price Bitcoin. And this is I think so a great way to understand. And obviously Kryptonite Abby it was a great one explaining that. And it's interesting because stock flow, I've seen it many times about gold, and that's just recently through Kryptonite, I think so 2 years ago, last year, that I understood that actually people were forecasting a Bitcoin based on this ratio, which is really cool. It's a really good way to essentially fundamentally look at Bitcoin. In terms of teams, well, we're still hiring a lot of people, so there's some people that are getting accepted. But if you guys know any of these positions, please let us know. Or if you're interested in joining the team, please let us know. It'll be awesome. We're still looking for these different positions in tech team, and as well in operation team, and as well obviously in the marketing team as well. So that'll be really cool. Kryptonite. Excited. Tomorrow is going to be a really cool one with Ran, host of Crypto Trader of CNBC. Please watch this one. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be naming a lot of people and talking about a lot of different theories. I think so. This one's going to be really good. And the guy, he's the guy who's really smart. Did an exit. He's very, he's a smart guy, very tech savvy, and is really a great, ambassador of crypto. So, and one only one who really talks about it in a very good way on CNBC. So that's super cool. Super big news, man. We made it 100,000. That is really something big. We're super proud of that. Thank you for everyone that's been getting all the Hall of Fame and bringing people on how to learn and earn Bitcoin without taking any risk. The community app is a big thing. We're looking for the version number 2. We have different plans. We will still not announce it right now, but we're looking forward to make this second season super cool. As you guys noticed, we launched in the first batch and the second batch. We're now waiting for the crypto. So we have some countries we don't have fiat gateways. So the idea is that we will offer crypto to crypto first, and then going forward, we will then luckily be able to onboard everything in their local currencies. During the Wealth app, so there's 4,000 downloads and installs. There is 2,500 people that have went through the KYC, which is great. We have a little bit more than 2.5 million. Well, the price of crypto, unfortunately, this last days haven't helped us, but we've been increasing well. We have 400,000 a weekly volume, which is not too bad, but we could do better, I think so. The smart energy is going faster and faster, which that is really, I mean, it's just great. We were afraid about scalability, like everything with technology, but this is looking better and better, which is amazing. The numbers of CHSB staked, it's roughly close to 8 million, which is great. Please deposit your SwissBorg tokens. It'll be great ways to essentially in the future get staking mechanism and how to get really rewarded, and the safest way as well for you guys. And onboarding is slightly slower, but it's still 9 minutes, under 10 minutes. So we're doing fine. I'm proud of it. The big contribution is still out of Switzerland. UK is coming quickly. And then we have a few countries as well that's changing, which is really good. Really excited about that as well. Then the last part I wanted to talk about, you guys, is you've probably seen this already. This was on, on our white paper, the initial one. You can see the branding, the green that we had back then. And this is something I wanted to talk about, and the reason why we should be staking more and more. Some of you know we have the ambassador program, and that's kicking out. We're really happy that we had a very positive feedback from many. Still waiting for others that to fill up the form and let us know what's the bottom of your heart. And this is how we have to think. How are we going to go to mass adoption? How we're going from Swiss tribe to SwissBorg nation? Is to recognize and to know who are the one we should be rewarding, right? This is the real hope and the dream that we're going to implement to this meritocracy, is not only to reward people because you're staking, but because you're contributing, and you're contributing to our ecosystem and creating something better. And obviously the DEO principle, it's about that. And Stan and the rest of the people of the team has been doing great jobs, and thank you for everyone for participating in over 117 missions that have been accomplished. But this is something we want to put an extra element to it, is how you could imagine a place of collaboration with that staking mechanism and the contribution. We could literally know in a very zero-proof knowledge way how to get rewarded and how you could get access to this universal revenue that we want to offer. And this is really a discussion, right? And I really want you guys to comment here, ask different questions, and think, what are the right ways to do that? And for me, and what we believe is that, imagine a place where all these different Hall of Fame, the different badges you collect, these could be tokens. And imagine that your smart ID, which has your basic information on yourself, an ID in it, but you could as well store these different accomplishments. That'll be a super cool way to say that, okay, this guy has done that, this, and this, right? And this woman has participated in the ICO. She's Hall of Famer. She has done the referendum 1, the second. She has done this amount of referrals. She has these different missions. And this would be a great way to show these achievements that are done, again, in a zero-proof knowledge, because you just need to collect these different tokens. And similar to what happened, during the referendums, right? You had those tokens. And these are really what we were thinking about, how we could have these NFT tokens, so non-fungible tokens, and that could give you that zero-proof knowledge. And we could combine that with social activity, and I really try to find an oracle to how to compare this on-chain and off-chain achievements that could be done. And that could, enable you to get this universal revenue, as I said, but as well to get, governance rights, right? And say like, okay, I'm that person. I'm the SwissBorg tribe of Bern. I've been there. I've created this. I'm the SwissBorg guy of Catalan, and I've been doing this and that. And then how you could essentially, get more funding, get more ownership, and creating the right products for your smaller community that you could convey. And this is exactly how we should be thinking of how can we grow from this to our village to our nation. And So yeah, please share, what's your thoughts on this? In order to grow big and to get to this highest peak of the mountain, we have to think big, but we have to act big as well. So for all the SwissBorg ambassadors that are about to sign, we're super happy to onboard you guys. We're preparing fundamental, amazing work to make sure that you have the right tools to grow and for everyone within the ecosystem that's listening to this video. It's really time for you guys to be proud of yourself and to make the most amount of referrals, I think so, and explain what we're doing at SwissBorg, why our mission and our vision is so different from the others, why it makes more sense to buy Bitcoin, not because it's only cheaper and it's better and it's more secure, but it's because we have this fundamental philosophy that is we're creating value and giving it back to the community, and we're all part of this community together. So on this note, I wanted to share my love with you guys. Thank you so much for listening and keep tuned in. Ciao, guys.